The Chair recognizes the gentleman from Idaho, Mr. Labrador.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have been really confused by your answers to some questions, and you seem like a very nice person. You seem like somebody who wants to work with people, but yet you keep complaining about the form of the way that your questions have been asked. And I guess when we're in a process, and maybe I don't understand this process as well, I'm just in my second term here, but it seems to me that the committee has tried to work with your staff. Is that not correct?
I think there's a better way for us to work.
I understand that you think there's a better way, but they have called your staff. You have had meetings with the committee staff. Has your staff not had meetings with the committee staff?
We have had meetings, and we have had phone conversations.
Okay, and have you expressed to the committee, for example, you said that you would love to have an information sharing arrangement. When you received this subpoena, and I'm looking at it right here, it's 4 pages long. 3 of the 4 pages are specific requests. So not, these broad allegations that you're making. Only 1 page is broad. 3 pages are specific requests. Did you call the chairman or did you call the committee and say, hey, I can get you these documents. Can you give me a little bit more time to get you all the additional documents?
I did not make.
Did somebody on your staff do that?
I do not know. I will have to ask that question.
So it seems to me that it's great to come here before a hearing and claim that you want to work with us, but then to make the kinds of allegations that the people on the other side and yourself have made, I don't see how this has to be the kind of exchange that you're describing when they have been trying to work with you and your staff.
That's a fair point, Congressman. I do appreciate that. Although I would say I was not called and told that I was about to get a subpoena, and so I'll bear my part of the responsibility, and I think we can have a better relationship.
And I don't disagree with that. I just think that subpoenas usually in this committee, especially under this chairman, have been a last resort. They have not been, this chairman has not, in my experience, started with a subpoena. He has ended after a long, frustrating process. I do have some specific questions. Recent wind mapping studies show that Idaho has approximately 25,000 megawatts of wind generation potential. It's the 13th largest potential in the United States. At present, wind plants provide approximately 8% of the electric energy consumed in Idaho. The taking of migratory birds and eagles is obviously an issue that's important to my state. Mr. Ash, what standard do you use when deciding whether someone should be prosecuted for a bird crashing into a building, an airplane, or even a wind turbine?
I think the general practice that we follow is, was the take avoidable? Were there best management practices available to the individual in minimizing or avoiding that take? Have we communicated the obligations under federal law to the individual so they understand what their obligations are?
So in 2012, the Fish and Wildlife Service issued an 85-page document intended to help mitigate the negative effects of wind turbines on wildlife. If a wind company follows the 2012 guidance document, even if the project was constructed prior to 2012, will the company be a lower priority for enforcement and prosecution under the Migratory Bird Treaty Act?
If they followed the voluntary wind turbine guidelines, our commitment is that they will be a low priority for law enforcement.
So you set out a series of standards based on what you think is appropriate, and then those are the people you're giving a low priority to. Is that correct?
Well, we set out a process that was jointly determined through the Wind Federal Advisory Committee process.
And that's for the wind turbines. Has the Fish and Wildlife Service developed a similar guideline for the oil and gas industry to help mitigate any bird staking that are covered under the Migratory Treaty Act?
We have best management practices that were developed in cooperation with the industry about the operation of oil pits, oil reserve pits.
Okay. And how will a company know if it has sufficiently followed the applicable guidance documents to avoid prosecution?
They're very clear with regard to an open pit, oil waste pit. They're supposed to net the facility so birds won't land in it and be oiled and killed. And so they're very explicit and very simple measures that the operator can take.
All right, thank you. I have no further questions.
And the time is, the gentleman had expired. The timing is right. Timing is everything.